In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Welcome to the Light of Islam 885. Today, we will share a powerful and motivational story from the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. A story that teaches us patience, forgiveness, and unwavering faith in Allah. The life of the Prophet, peace be upon him, is filled with lessons that guide humanity even today. Among the many stories, one stands out as a shining example of mercy and patience, the story of Taif. Join us on our new channels and be part of our growing global community. Also, don't forget to support us by subscribing and sharing our videos. Your support keeps us motivated to bring you more quality content. Now let's dive into this inspiring story. The journey to Taif, years passed, and the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, continued to preach Islam in Makkah. His mission was clear: to invite his people to submit to the one true God, Allah. Unfortunately, instead of embracing the message, the Quraysh tribe, including some influential leaders and the polytheists, intensified their persecution of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and his followers. They hurled abuses at the Prophet. False accusations were made against him. Physical abuse became common, and Muslims suffered severe torture and harassment simply because they chose to follow the teachings of Islam. The Prophet, peace be upon him, and his companions faced all these challenges with courage and steadfastness, always turning to Allah for strength and guidance. However, the intensity of the persecutions prompted the Prophet, peace be upon him, to seek refuge in nearby Taif, hoping to find a better environment to continue his mission. So with a small group of companions, he set out on the journey to Taif. Upon arriving in Taif, the Prophet, peace be upon him, hoped that he could spread the message of Islam in relative peace. However, soon he realized that his presence was not welcome. The leaders of Taif, influenced by the reports from Mecca and their own prejudice, rejected the Prophet's message. Instead of listening to his teachings, they sent their children and young men to harass him, throw stones at him, and drive him away from the city. The Prophet, peace be upon him, accompanied by his companions, was deeply affected by this treatment. He endured the pain and humiliation caused by the stones while trying to calm his companions and maintain their focus on their mission. Despite the suffering he endured, the Prophet, peace be upon him, still held on to the belief that there were people in Taif who could embrace Islam if given the chance. The Prophet's Dua. During this difficult time, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, found solace and strength in Dua, which is a form of communication with Allah in Islam. In the midst of pain and persecution, he turned to Allah in prayer, expressing his feelings and seeking guidance and comfort. One particular dua he recited is known as the Dua of Ar-Rukn, which translates to the Dua of seeking refuge. In this dua, the Prophet, peace be upon him, poured out his heart, acknowledging Allah's knowledge of his situation and seeking refuge in Allah's protection. He expressed his weakness and helplessness and emphasized his complete trust in Allah's will and mercy. Through this dua, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, exemplified the importance of turning to Allah during times of distress and affirmed his belief that Allah was the only one who could provide solace and strength in the face of adversity. The Prophet's dua reflects his unwavering faith and trust in Allah's wisdom and mercy, serving as an inspiration to Muslims around the world to seek refuge in Allah whenever they face challenges and hardships. The Angel's Visit. After enduring the pain and humiliation in Taif, the Prophet, peace be upon him, left the city with his companions, wounded and disheartened. As he walked, he felt immense physical and emotional exhaustion. His feet were hurting, and the road seemed long and lonely. Despite the pain he endured, the Prophet, peace be upon him, remained steadfast in his mission. He knew that he had brought a message from Allah to the people of Taif, and he was determined to do everything he could to deliver it. At that moment, the Prophet, peace be upon him, felt a deep sense of sadness and despair. He questioned why he and his companions had been subjected to such mistreatment and wondered if their efforts to spread the message of Islam were futile. Doubts and worries filled his mind, and he couldn't help but feel overwhelmed by the challenges they had faced. However, amidst his pain and disappointment, the Prophet, peace be upon him, didn't lose faith in Allah. He trusted that Allah had a plan and that even though things seemed difficult now, everything would eventually work out according to Allah's will. With renewed determination, he continued on his way, knowing that he had to keep trying to spread the message of Islam. Suddenly the Prophet, peace be upon him, was enveloped by a bright light, and before him appeared the angel Jibreel, peace be upon him. The angel extended his hand towards the Prophet, peace be upon him, and asked, "O Muhammad, what do you wish? Allah has granted you the power to choose." With a gentle voice, the Prophet, peace be upon him, replied, "O Allah, I entrust my affairs to you. Guide me." Upon hearing this, Jibreel, peace be upon him, informed the Prophet that Allah wanted to destroy the people of Ta'if, along with their polytheism. He offered the Prophet the power to stop the punishment, stating that Allah had sent the angel of the mountains to crush the people of Ta'if, and that he was ready to carry out the task. The Prophet's response upon hearing this, the Prophet, peace be upon him, felt a mix of emotions. But above all, he thought of Allah's mercy and forgiveness. Rather than seeking revenge or wanting to punish the people who had persecuted him, the Prophet, peace be upon him, demonstrated his magnanimity and chose mercy over retribution. He realized that Allah had already punished them by turning away his face from them, and he understood that Allah was just and would hold them accountable for their actions. In response to the offer of power, the Prophet, peace be upon him, humbly stated, "No, by Allah, I do not want to say anything that may earn Allah's anger. I hope that Allah will bring forth from their offspring people who will worship Allah alone without associating partners with him." In these words, the Prophet, peace be upon him, showed his deep understanding of Allah's justice and mercy. He knew that Allah had a plan and that he should trust in it. This profound moment in the story of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, reveals his extraordinary character and the values he upheld. Faced with the opportunity to inflict punishment on his persecutors, he chose forgiveness and hope rather than vengeance. His response reflects the essence of his message, which emphasized mercy, forgiveness, and the belief in the power of Allah to guide and redeem. This episode serves as a powerful reminder for Muslims and all people of faith to emulate the Prophet's example of responding to adversity with grace, magnanimity, and unwavering trust in divine justice. By choosing to forgive those who had persecuted him, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, demonstrated the true spirit of his message, which called for peace, mercy, and justice. His response was not driven by hatred or a desire for revenge, but by faith in Allah's plan and the belief in the potential for goodness in all people. This aspect of the Prophet's character serves as a beacon of hope and inspiration, reminding us that even in the darkest moments, forgiveness and faith can prevail. As we conclude this journey through the story of Ta'if, let us reflect on the invaluable lessons it holds for our lives. The Prophet's patience and resilience in the face of persecution, his unwavering trust in Allah's plan, and his capacity for forgiveness and hope serve as guiding principles for us today. May we find strength in his example to endure our own challenges with grace and faith. And may we strive to embody his spirit of mercy and forgiveness in our interactions with others. Thank you for joining us on this episode of The Light of Islam. We hope that this story has inspired you and brought you closer to understanding the life and teachings of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to like, comment, and share. Your feedback is important to us and helps us continue producing quality content. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss out on new episodes every week. Stay tuned for more insightful Islamic stories and reflections. Until next time, may peace be upon you.